What's up, everybody? My name is John Franco, and welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, it was quite the crazy trial. We finally uncovered the truth about what was going on in the police department. There was no murder, actually, but there was a weird fingerprint that we could never identify. So now we're back on the investigation. So here we are at Wright and Company Law Offices. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Dressing crime required drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order to find him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Jor Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what? What happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you do? What did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yeah. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for this season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jane Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before she could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me into her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just couldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, to become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crimes with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. See, I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. but there's still something that bothers me about that crime. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So, you weren't able to testify about that? No. I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean, provide bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence, and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, it's all my fault. If I could just have testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true. Even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially to Emma. Something's puzzling me. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running through there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. In for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices and the questioning rooms are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the True Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. I better have another talk with her. Alright, I guess we have to go to the detention center and talk to Lana. Lana, Mr. Wright, it seems like you're causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. How the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Detective Lana Sky. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing! They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? She was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked at the crime scene. That one Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filled. Emma really idolized her big sister. On this side. Okay, sorry. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you can use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one, 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believe in you, Lana. I believe that no matter what happened to you, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What would Miss Starr said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife? Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation led was Damon Gant, right? Yes. Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office, and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jack Marshall and Angel Stars. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was a serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place, when he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. My phone! Sorry. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us? Damon Count and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Count and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room, I mean. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filling some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seemed Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Anna, carried her out the room, and I just held her. I didn't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone through. After all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved with this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gaunt and I shared. The office that Mr. Gaunt now occupies by himself, the chief's office. Maybe you should have a look at the chief office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Alright then. I'll be out. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem quite quiet around here today. You're right. The chief of detectives seems the same though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Que será? You never know where lives will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office over later interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about the trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean this switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Rodarik's after all. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there is a good chance that that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility has been erased. The dice have been concealed with forged evidence. The case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just had to be a detective when it went down. It was our case together. Our first case together. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day the evidence transferred. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was a thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Tara was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him, if they did have something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gaunt and Lana Sky. The investigation led Damon Gaunt and his second in command. Ooh, sorry. Lana Sky. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah. Damon Gaunt, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secrets are well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edward isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gaunt. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after the day. Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adiós, Bambina. Hasta luego. No one's here today. Not even Miss Star. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we prove in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, though we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee? He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitted to falsify evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back later. There we go. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Oh, thanks. Oh, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying that she did, and the decision is, wait, hold on. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edward, not to mention our statement to the media and tomorrow's trials, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator on to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where the Ticket Gumshoe gets his unique charm. What are what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief offices. Alright, let's go. Ooh. Whoa. Where am I? In the chief's office, in the chief's office, silly. At least, that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Back. I thought I was a genius until I didn't even get to read that. I never could remember where C was. Hmm? Oh jeez. Oh! It's you two! Chief Gent! He put that paper he was reading on his desk. So, Rido, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Nana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence? 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. I can't seem to put my finger on it though. Hello? Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office... It was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't quite hear me. I said there's no need to investigate anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. Seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gunn denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason why he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief office. Hey pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like a Detective Gumshoe still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. And we have that bomb-ass music. Oh, I love Gumshoe's theme so much. No, don't move. Edgeworth cracks it. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Last guy is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, a prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent has a prosecutor kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey Dick, keep up the good work. Yes sir. Let's go out for lunch again. Sometime. My treat. Yes sir. You gotta take back to that joint sometime, okay Dick?
That what?
Yes sir. Seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier, while the coffee was brewing. He seems generally concerned now for Edgeworth. Well, did you find anything? The only evidence Stark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Me. It seemed Detective Gumshoes never realized that Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it has something to do with the murder weapon? Oh, I forgot. Look, it's all written somewhere in there, okay? His powers of recollection never felt so impressed. Maybe you should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take to a serial killer? To serial killing, I mean. One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car, so it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second. A kid walked by just so, he killed him too. Then, oh my god, okay, he killed a lot of people. Seems like he was a pretty careless criminal. Of course, this is all conjectures. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily, Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. Alright, there you go. About this. Hey, is that... It has a tag attached to it, with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you going to do with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in the locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. And was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what was incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. My throat really hurts from doing Gumshoe's voice. That knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store. He brought it all, plus it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway. Take a guess where the broken of the tip of the knife was found. That's what did him to in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet, down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Neil's autopsy report added to the court record. Search by knife updated in the court record. Well, there you have it, in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief's out now and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with a breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. I can remember. Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutors award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Were you at the award ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, pal. I got an award of diligence myself. Congratulations. I was wondering, why is the award a shield? And why is it broken? Oh, there's a reason. I'll tell you what it is later. Apparently, he forgot. Okay, that's not it. That's the ID card record, isn't it? Yes, there's only one number left to investigate, at 420. The victim, Detective Goodman, must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. 7777.
Just say 77.
That's 17 too many, Detective. An executive officer. I just might have a hunch. I mean, something up on those files. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth. Presentation to think people are accusing him of injustice. I for one am buying it, pal. You're looking into the case for Mr. Edgeworth? Yeah, it was a pretty big deal while it was going on, you know? After all, a serial killer was on the loose. But then it was pretty clear in her confession. She forged evidence in order to prove Joe Dark guilty. Okay, that's not it. Detective, here is my attorney's badge. He showed this to me every time we meet, pal. Real men show their police badge. Enough said. I wish I had a badge. Even an ID card would be nice. This ID card belongs to the victim, Detective Bruce Goodman. You can do just about anything these days with a card and a secret number. Scary. It's only scary because you keep dropping your card, Detective Gumshoe. I forget my secret number a lot too. I'm scared of myself. But I'm fine. But I'm me, after all. And what would be wrong with that? I think I'll stay out of this conversation. Hey, that powder is used for detecting fingerprints. Yeah, Mr. Edward gave it to me. He did what? All I have is some flour. Are you okay, detective? Quick, run! Achoo! If it's any help, one time I took a nap on a bench with a wet pen. Why am I not recorded? Boy. Okay, that's not it. This guy almost made us lose the case today. What are you talking about? He was guarding the bloodstain on that evidence locker with his life. That's more than you can say about most officers nowadays. It would have saved us a lot of trouble if it wasn't so. If he hadn't guarded it so well. I have to admit he's right though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we were able to prove another possibility today. The possibility that another murder took place prior to 5 PM at 5:15. About that jar, I think I've seen it somewhere before. Somewhere. Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. This might be one of the most uninformative detectives I've ever met. To think about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief of police and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant? I have seen that before. Maybe here? I wonder if Edward is back yet. There he is. Looks like he's writing something. What are you doing here? He sure has it quick to throw the paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edwards. I'm reading for you. That's Edward for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I will have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I do can erase this fact. But you didn't do it, did you? I mean, that evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth, I take pride in my work, so tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Tomorrow's trial. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First, last year's trial, and now this one. Seems all you do is worry about me. Be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out the trial. Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. Never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence, it seems short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists. That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was giving to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture, something seems strange about it. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? That day Detective Goodman was murdered. You were participating in a ceremony over there at the station, right? I never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends. Clerical stuff. Didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I asked to take something back. I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This... Oh yeah, Chief Gunn asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yeah. It was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. Alright, how about the picture? Yeah, that's not it. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding, it's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind this design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Ah. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with two characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure, everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it though? For Emma's sake. Very well. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with two items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those things contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very description of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see, so the chipped shield and the broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's item. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matter to their conclusion. Even if the result in something is as ugly as this. Wow. Thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Edgeworth. Excuse me. Oh my god. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Miss Star! I guess she's out for lunches. You surely are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk.
Why?
Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, the little scene I happened to witness. The instant Nana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Star's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure! Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Chief Marshal. Though, must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her. Lana Sky. My sister? Best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we're so shocked about how it turned out. You mean, with the forging of evidence? Don't get me wrong. Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us, save Goodman, were relieved of our duties. Most without even such as an explanation. Then Lana Sky transferred to the prosecutor office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing is quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Sky was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Gant led the investigation with Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kind of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant, magnetism in particular, was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He'd produce the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence, you mean? Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared to confront him though. No one dared to confront him though. I think she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would ever have been recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Star. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Anna transferred to the prosecutor office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gunn's powerful influence. Chief? That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Star. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. She's feisty. Let's go. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Bring coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he meant desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer is still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's got to be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutor award that Mr. Edward got the other day. We're at the award ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, pal! I got an award for diligence myself. Ah, congratulations. Say, this is based on an old Chinese parable, right? Yeah, everyone knows that. There was this, dragon. Yeah, that's it, a dragon. He had a thing for shields, see? That's not exactly the version we heard. No, but this one sounds more exciting. Anyway, it gets kind of gory after that. I'll spare you the details. Okay, I was about to say, like, what if we have to say, like, oh, the Chief Guns wants us to put this back to his stuff. About that chart, I think I've seen it before somewhere. Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. This must be the most information. It's like I'm in Chief Gun's office and he's yelling at me. Maybe here? The jar is over there. It's the same one. But this one is covered in blood. What if you go and speak with Edgeworth? No. I hate being stuck. Feeling like I'm stuck. Okay. This ID card is not, wait. Yeah, we saw that. What should give him? Work. I've been sitting on those files. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth's presentation. To think people are accusing him of injustice. I, for one, ain't buying it, pal. You're looking into the case for Mr. Edgeworth? Yeah. It was a pretty big deal while it was going on, you know. After all, a serial killer was on the loose. But Lana was pretty clear in her confession. Is there anything that we have that can convince him? No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay, yeah, we already did this. We already did that. Oh, you know what? I think I know. Just got a light bulb in my head. Is it here? Yeah, there we go. I wonder what he was writing for. Come on, Mr. Wright, let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just check him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out in the window there? Oh no! He's falling to the ground! Hold on. First let me see what this girl's doing crawling out on my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, right? I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. Sort of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. There we go. That got a light bulb. Just remember that he threw a paper. So that's gonna make Gumshoe freak out. And he's gonna be like, oh god, I guess I can let you, if it's to save Edgeworth, I can let you pass. What's this crumbled up piece of paper? No way! No, Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious! Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they've pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I made up my mind. But here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least, let me do this. For Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, detective. Thank you. The big chief's office. Here goes, Mr. Wright. We're in. If anyone finds us now, they did come choose a gunner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Hey! God! Oh man. Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. You're here. Then what's the point of giving us your card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card! I hardly ever get a chance to come here. So I figured I might have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I got a bad feeling about this. That desk on the other side of the room. Was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago. Is no one using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gun's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicating at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gun and the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Can I ask you something? Sorry, I was laughing because never mind. Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think? Nah, you wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so What's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Let's go examine. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. As he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? Nope. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff of legends. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame on to the left. Hey, this is when Lana and I went to that theme park. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I always dream about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. As long as he doesn't go crashing through that window. When he gets fired. Don't say that! Eesh. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? There is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitation. First the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh, be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. And the word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. Looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. Let's see, would it be... Input number. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birthday? It's... I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. Alright, I think it's 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. There we go. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was it, pal? 77. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 777? 777? That ID number? I think you're 1/7 shy of this time. This can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gun's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Why have I seen this before? There's something else in there too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it and a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now we have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. What if I show you this? Detective Goshu, should you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Was this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe? Yes, that's that one. That was in the safe. Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gun that Chief Gun was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. That was easy. There! It fits like a charm. That of course means Chief Gun really and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. I can't even speak. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But hey guys, get a hold of this. What is it? This is just attached. It's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line? That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gun hide this in his safe? Unstable jar updated in the court record. I feel a lot better now that this jar is complete. But it only raised another question. What was that piece doing in the chief's safe? More importantly, why wasn't there any money in it? Isn't that what safes are for anyway? I have a feeling the outcome of tomorrow's trial just might hinge on this. Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a darker red stain here. Looks like blood. This piece the chief has is different though. The blood stain on the other pieces are just spots, but this one is a line. That's odd. I guess we're not done here. The chief organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally, we hear him playing it from the criminal affairs department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is on the 15th floor of an entirely different building. When a detective screws up, the chief calls them into this office and makes them listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. But aren't the chief's ear affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's besides the point. Oh, gumshoe. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gun's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gun! He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Hey, look at the case name! Huh? SL9 incident. I don't know what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence list. Normally they are twice as long? That's right, I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. The list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it! The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. Evidence list added to the court record. That's what the chief was reading before, isn't it? You know, when we first came in here, yeah, it looks like the right side of the form has been torn off. So Mr. Edwards really was the only... So Mr. Edward's list really was the only half of the whole thing. Something else is bugging me more than that. Take a look at the back of that form, pal. The back? What? I don't know what this is. It looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? I can't make it out. Better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Oh no, it's not. Why are you guys moving around like that, Mr. Wright? Better not forget about this picture. Can we go? No, there's something that we're missing. You can see pretty far from 15 stories up here. Okay, I didn't read that. At first, the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. Really? Why didn't he? They say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh, stained glass or not, it's a huge window. But there's stained glass up here. Okay. I used to take classes of to make stained glasses art. It's pretty difficult, but it was fun. Is that it? There's a phone. Wow, look at it. Okay, no, that's okay. The gumshoe. I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, okay. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't time to make for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on, right? Sheesh. Where's your sense of humor? Yeah, I know, I remember. And... low. Give it my red shot. That kind of result won't be any good for matching prints. What about this one? Whoa, that's not enough? Okay. Weird. That's okay. There we go. Okay, that goes with... Oh. Oh.
Uh-oh.
No. How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprint doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints are they? Huh? Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Hey you, over here. What's going on here? What are that kid's print doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me! Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now, that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he wouldn't have been useless. Isn't that right? You in the coat? Chief Gaunt! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I am a man who believes in science. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out for a window and I saw a stray dog run into that hole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you're in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID. Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But sir... Now, get out. Yes, sir! We'll be on our way too then. Wait! You, the one without the spiky hair. Don't you go get. Me, sir? I like a word with you. But sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright? Look, pal. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaky out in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gunn was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept eerily silent about this all this time? Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions. So she'll be busy for the rest of the day. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said I was the one who stabbed Mr. as a Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth. Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you of it otherwise. Thick-headed is a term he used, I believe. That was my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so. Because of a certain individual. Oh, what an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say? So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightening of. What is this person's name? Right there. Well, Miss Sky? Mr. Wright, you're addressing the chief prosecutor. Don't forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I expected him as a detective. Assuming he's respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edward will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gaunt's name was never mentioned? Chief Gaunt? Edward didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gaunt. If you intend to accuse Chief Gaunt, you need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gaunt's falsified evidence in that case. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? These are pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gaunt himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmise, I cannot disobey the Chief's orders. Even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. The murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite that, what everyone believes. You were the one who murdered Detective Goodman. And you were not the one. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk lock was broken, and I discovered that the murder weapon was while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No, When I found the body, this was a knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it off and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that's the reason for the bandage on your right hand. Yes, it seems that I got blood on the victim's shoe as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Tara, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close Dark's case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't even want to be open. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So he hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it. In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right, then I called my sister. To tell her what happened, to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You ask Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gaunt, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade on his own. Oh, you mean... Don't want the case today, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into... He still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident to the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respects, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demon. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. That is Goodman's real murder. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. To be continued.